something else that we can probably do with the gates, and I know I've talked with, you know, Richard and Grant about before, is the aim point. And that's something that I find that a lot of people that have purchased the Back to Basics product or things like that have questions about, and it's probably the one reason, you know, significantly why we created the gates themselves. Can you just talk about aim point a little bit and maybe what you focus on with that?
Yeah, I always like to when I'm reading a putt, I like to look for the apex, like the most break and where it's gonna break from.
Yep.
So if you're going to putt from this ball here,
yep,
you know, if you have a good read of it, like to me, I think like the break is probably around about here. Okay. Like that's the highest point of the breaking putt.
Yep.
So if I'm reading a putt here, like that's what I'm looking at. Okay. I'm looking at, all right, if I'm going to hit this putt with good speed, how much break is there?
Yeah. So knowing once we get to that point, that's where the break's really going to start to come into play, most importantly.
That's right.
And when you're focused and you're out on the course, you know, those are the kind of points that you should be picking out before you're actually putting.
That's right.
And maybe even bringing that back towards your ball and picking a spot, you know, right, probably somewhere in here or there, that's going to lead to that.
Yeah, like when I putt, I always like to look at a spot, maybe a foot or two in front of the ball, and make sure I get my putter head lined up to that.
Yeah, okay.
And then address it.
Okay.
Which is exactly what you're saying. You know, that's the apex of the break, and that's where the ball needs to go through.
Yeah. Now this is a pretty big putt here. We're looking probably a good, I don't know, what, 15 feet?
Yeah, we're looking at like 15 feet and probably a foot and a half of break. So okay. It's certainly a putt where you need to get the correct line and the correct speed.
Yeah. Somewhere maybe like right here.
Yeah, that looks great. Yeah, I think you got to hit it. You got to make sure you're just outside this mark here.
Okay. The eyes, you know, kind of inside that ball.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't really see the other things, but I just know from that feeling that we were working on before.
Great. Looks like you played a little bit too much break and your speed was down just a fraction.
Yep. Maybe right about there.
That looks good. There you go.
Ooh.
The ball's in the way. But that gives you that feedback of, you know, you've come from the mirror now, you know your putter head's square, you know your eyes are in a good position, you know your shoulders are good, and then you just hit that nice putt. You got a ball started on line, went through the apex of the putt, and it was nice speed.
Yeah, cool.
Oh, almost. I mean, it's certainly not easy.
No.
You know, 15 feet and you're trying to hit the ball through there. There you go. I think two from four is excellent. So if I get this gate now, like if you want to try and hold this putt, I think we got to move it a couple of balls to the right.
Yep.
You're going through the same process. Make sure those shoulders are square.
Yep.
Eyes feel like they're in a good position.
Yep.
Now you just focus on that start line and good speed. Close. Oh, you're thereabouts.
Yeah.
There you go.
Nice. Look at that. That's a big putt.
That's a great putt.
Thanks, man.
You know, as you can see, with you getting the ball started more online, you know, you can play around with the gate, bring it inside or move it outside just to get the ball rolling in the hole.
But we just know that a lot of that point, again, depending on pace, could end up a little more left or right because of how brakes work. But really getting it to that aim point is the essential part of it.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, if your speed's off, then the ball's not going to go through that gate all the time. So it shows you got to hit a perfect putt.
Perfect. Michael, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time today.
All right, thanks, Nick.